Morning to everybody. Very good morning. Today we will learn modal auxiliaries. In modal auxiliaries, will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, must, ought to, dare. These are known as modal auxiliaries. So we will see in which situation we use in these verbs, modal verbs. Generally we know auxiliary verbs, but these are modal auxiliaries. In different situations these are used. What are modal auxiliaries? Now question arises in our mind that what are modal auxiliaries? Modal auxiliaries express meanings such as permission, possibility, certainty, necessity, determination, willingness, obligation, ability, compulsion, duty, politeness, polite request, etc. So these are, in these situation we can use modal auxiliaries. Meaning is now it is clear that when we have to use modal auxiliaries. But before going to start modal auxiliaries, some features which we find common in all modal auxiliaries we will see in this slide. Common features. There are some common features which are necessary to remember while using modal auxiliaries. Common feature number 1 is that the modal auxiliaries do not stand alone. A principal verb is either present or implied. Modal auxiliaries we cannot use alone. With the help of principal verb only we can use it. If we see the examples, then it will be more clear. Examples: I can wake up early in the morning. Students must read books. We should give respect to parents. Will you play? Yes, I play. Yes, I will. If we see and observe these sentences, then we find that in sentence number 1, I can wake up early in the morning. Can, wake. Wake is a principal verb and can is a modal verb. So if we will not use wake, then meaning is not clear. So wake is necessary. Alone we cannot use can. In sentence 2, students must read books. Must is modal verb, and with must read is necessary as a principal verb. Then should give. In third sentence we should give respect to parents. With should we use give. Give is a principal verb. In fourth sentence, will you play? Yes, I play. Will you play? Play is used with will. Otherwise meaningless sentence. And yes, I will. Here also play is used, but it is in implied form. Next we will see common features. Feature number 2, the modal auxiliaries do not change according to the number or person of the subject as the primary auxiliaries do. Here change in number or person we will see according to the subject. But in primary auxiliaries we have to change according to the number and person of the subject. But here there will be no change according to the number or person. We will understand it and it will be more clear with the examples. I can sing, we can sing, you can sing, he can sing, they can sing. Here I and we are first person, plural and singular. You is second person. We use you as a plural and as a singular. He and they are singular and plural, third person singular and plural. So here with first person singular I can sing. With first person plural we can sing. With second person plural and singular you can sing. Here he can sing, they can sing. Third person singular and plural. So there is no change in modal auxiliaries can. Persons and numbers are changing, but modal auxiliary remains same. So this is second feature which is common in all auxiliaries. Feature number 3, modal auxiliaries do not have the infinitives or participle forms. In all modal auxiliaries, we don't find any infinitives or participle forms. We cannot say to can, to shall, to may, he can driving, you may coming, he can driven, etc. So to infinitives we will not use with auxiliaries. To shall, to may, the to is not used infinitives, and driving gerund is also not used, and driven participles also we will not use in while making modal verbs. Now we will see use of will. Now we have seen modal features, some common features, and what is modal auxiliaries. So in the which situation these are used we have seen in about previous CDs. Now we will see use of will. Will is used to express determination on the part of the speaker or a promise, threat or willingness. Use of will is clear here. Then we will see the use of determination. And we will make some sentences. I will win the race whatever happens. I will win the race whatever happens. I will root out corruption. I will keep my promise till death. These three sentences are given here. If we see these sentences, we find determination. How to express determination? I will win the race whatever happens. Whatever happens, I will win the race. So this shows my determinations. I will root out corruption. In any circumstances, I will root out corruption. This sentence also shows the determination. I will keep my promise till death. Here also determination of keeping the promise till death. Anyhow, I will keep my promise. Okay, so these are the examples of determination, how will is used to express determination. Next, in formation of future tense. When we form future tense, we have to use will. He will leave for Mumbai tomorrow. She will get the job next month. So these are the examples. With examples it will be clear. Tomorrow is used for future tense, so will we have to use. Here next month is used to show future tense, so will is used with she. These are in third person. Then another use of will in use of promise. I will help you whenever you will be in trouble. I will help you whenever you will be in trouble. I will not break my friendship in any circumstances. By observing these sentences, we find that promise, these sentences express promise. I will help you whenever you will be in trouble. Means this is the promise to helping you. I will not break my friendship in any circumstances. Friendship will not be broken in any circumstances. So this is also a promise. So these type of sentences of promise we can prepare by using will. Next, use of will in use of threats. In use of threats, I will show him my strength. I will see you outside. We will punish you if you make noise. These are the sentences in which we find threats. I will show him my strength. After reading this sentence, we find that there is threat in the sentence. I will see you outside. It is also the sentence full of threat. We will punish you if you make noise. This is also the sentence which expresses threat. Generally, this sentence we listen in our classroom when we make noise. At the time, teacher comes and said that we will punish you if you make noise. So these are the examples of threats. In use of willingness, likeness, also we have to use will. Will you please give me pen? I will take care of your son. I will lock your house. These are the sentences which express willingness. Will you please give me pen? I will take care of your son. This is willingness. I will lock your house. There is no promise. There is no threat, but willingness simply. Then second modal verb, shall. We will see use of shall. Shall is used to express the future tense when the subject is I and we. We all know that in future tense shall is used, and especially with first person singular and plural. However, today I or we will is more used, more popular than I or we shall. For example, I shall go to Baroda next week. We or I will attend the marriage tomorrow. In both these sentences, shall, we can use shall also, we can use will also, but here we will use shall. I shall go to Baroda next week. Next week shows future tense, so with I we use shall. But nowadays it is more common, we or I will attend the marriage tomorrow. Tomorrow shows future tense. To express a command, a promise or a threat with second and third person. When we have to express command, promise, threat, at that time we use shall with second and third person. He shall not play this game. You shall get the book tomorrow. They shall be punished for this. These are the sentences. Sentence number 1. He shall not play this game. In he shall not play, this is a command. He shall not play this game. You shall get the book tomorrow. This is a promise. You shall get the book tomorrow. They shall be punished for this. This is a threat. They shall be punished for this. So all types of sentences we have seen here. Use of should. Now we will see use of should. How should as a modal verb is used in sentences. It is used as the past form of shall in indirect speech. It expresses duty or obligation, logical necessity or probability. So in these situations, in these circumstances, we can use should. It is used in indirect speech. As a past form, we will use shall's past form. Teacher said students shall play in the 4th period. Teacher said that students should play in the 4th period. So here, while making indirect speech, we have changed shall into should. So here in this way we can also use should. Should used to express duty and obligation. Another use of should is that should we can use as a duty and obligation. We should speak the truth. We should give respect to elders. People should not tell lies. These are the sentences in which generally we use in duty or obligations. We should speak the truth. So here it is necessary to speak truth, but you have to use modal verb use. we should give respect to elders. Here, it is our duty to respect elders. People should not tell lies. It is also our duty not to tell lies. So people, it is a negative. Negative also we can make. Affirmative we can make. And interrogative also we can make. Should we speak the truth? Should we give respect to elders? Here, people should not tell lies. Another modal auxiliary, would, we will see here. Use of would. Would is used as the past tense of will, especially in indirect speech. Here, would is used but as a past form of will. Past form of will we will use especially in indirect speech. We will see some examples. It will be more clear. He said, I will play chess. He said that he would play chess. Om said he will learn Hindi. Om said that he would learn Hindi. If we see these examples, then we find he said that he would play chess. Here, will is changed into past form of will, would. Om said that he would learn Hindi. Here also, will is changed into would, and would is the past form of will. So generally in indirect speech we have to change modal auxiliaries into their past form. Not all modal auxiliaries are not changed, but some are changed. So here will we have to change into would. Then it's used in polite questions. It is also used in polite questions. While making polite questions, we have to use would. Would you meet me in the college? Would you like a cup of tea? Would you please do this work? Would you meet me in the college? These are all are questions. Would you meet me in the college? This is not a question and answer, not a command. Would you like a cup of tea? Polite request. Also we can say, would you meet me in the college? Politely we are asking that would you meet me in the college? Would you like a cup of tea? Here, would you like a cup of tea? Here again we are making polite request, polite questions, polite asking. Politely we are asking questions. Would you like a cup of tea? Would you please do this work? Here also we are requesting that please you do this work, but there is way of asking, so we have to use would in these type of questions. Used to express willingness, like or dislikes. She would like to sing now. This shows willingness. I would not like to dance. If we see these examples, then it will be clear. She would like to sing now. This shows likeness or willingness. I would not like to dance. Dislike. These are the sentences in which we can use would. She would. Willingness in first sentence, willingness. It expresses willingness. In sentence 2, it expresses dislikeness. Used with rather to express choice or preference. It is also used with rather. When there is the question of choice or preference, then we use would with rather. If we see the examples, then it will be more clear. Lata would rather die than to marry him. Lata would rather die than to marry him. He would rather attend the lecture than gossiping. He would rather attend the lecture than gossiping. So here, Lata would rather die than to marry him. Here preference is given to die than to marry. So here Lata would give preference to death than to marry him. So in these type of sentences, would is used with rather. He would rather attend the lecture than gossiping. Here would rather is used, and here preference is given to lecture than gossiping. Here preference is given to lecture than gossiping. He would rather attend the lecture than gossiping. So in these type of sentences, would is used. Use of can. Next modal verb is can. So we will see the uses of can, how can is used. So can is a well-known modal verb, especially when we have to show ability, to express ability, how much work a person can do, can perform. So in this type of circumstances, we have to use can. We will see some examples here. She can play piano. Hari can speak English. He can run fast. Can you hold 20 kg weight? She can play piano. Here she can play piano means she is capable to play piano. Hari can speak English. Here ability of Hari to speak English is measure, and modal verb can is used in this sentence. He can run fast. How can he run? He can run fast. So here also ability of running, he can run fast. So if we have to show this ability, then we have to use can. Can you hold 20 kg weight? Here also ability to hold the weight, how much weight can you hold? So here also we have to use can. Can you hold 20 kg weight? So this is in interrogative form, all are in affirmative form. So we can make interrogative, affirmative or negative, whatever we have to make according to the circumstances we can use. Use of could. Now we will see the use of could. How could is used in sentences. Could is used as the past tense of can. It shows the ability in the past, just like can but in past tense. When time is mentioned and it is the past, in this condition we can use could. Examples: I could walk fast before 2 years. Till last year he could read without glasses. He could not sleep yesterday. So in sentence number 1 we will see I could walk fast before 2 years. Till last year he could read without glasses. In sentence number 1 I could walk fast before 2 years. So here this past time is mentioned here. Before 2 years shows the past period of past, and so I could, so we use I could, but here could shows ability. I could walk fast, but when? I could walk fast before 2 years. Till last year he could read without glasses. Here also period of past time is mentioned, till last. So when we see till last year, then it is clear that it is the matter of past. So we have to use could. He could read without glasses. It is also the ability to read without glasses. He could not sleep yesterday. He could not sleep yesterday. He could not sleep. But yesterday is added here for showing the period of past time. So it is clear here that he could not. Could is appropriate. Could not sleep yesterday. So could not is the shows ability. He could not sleep yesterday. Yesterday, not today. Okay. Could is also used in indirect speech. In indirect speech, we have to use could. He said, I can play cricket. He said, I can play cricket. This is in direct speech. He said that he could play cricket. He said that he could play cricket. Hari said, I can speak English. Hari said that he could speak English. So in these sentences, indirect speech. So generally in indirect speech we have to use the past form of modal verbs. Before this also we have seen in will, in shall. So in the same way here can is used, and with can also we have to change into its past form. Past form is could. Okay, so we will see here, it will be more clear when we use these examples. He said, I can play cricket. He said that he could play cricket. Could. Here we change can into could. He could play cricket. Hari said, I can speak English. Hari said that he could speak English. Again, ability is there. Ability is shows, but in indirect speech. Okay. Here it is used, could is used to ask polite questions. When we have to ask polite questions, at that time could is used. In different situations, then it is different from primary auxiliaries. Could you tell me the truth? Could you show me your dress? Could you tell me the truth? Here, could you tell me the truth? This is in the, we are making questions, but polite questions. Questions, polite questions means with request. Could you tell me the truth? Could you show me your dress? This is also, here is also we find polite request. In possibility or uncertainty. In possibility or uncertainty we use could. If we had practice, we had done practice, we could win the match. You could not fall ill if you have taken precautions. If we concentrate on these two sentences, possibility, uncertainty. In sentence number 1, if we had done practice, we could win the match. Here, if we had done practice, we could win the match. This shows possibility of the sentence. If we had done practice, we could win the match. This is of past period. In past, whatever happened, it happened in past. So if we had done practice, had done, past perfect tense, we could win the match. Then we could win the match. This is possibility we are showing here. You could not fall ill if you have taken precautions. What we have to do in the past, we are telling by using could. In the now we are telling by using could. This shows uncertainty. Uncertainty. You could not fall ill means it is not certain that you could not fall ill. You might fall ill, or you could not fall ill. You could fall ill, but it is uncertainty we show by using could in the sentence, in this sentence. So if you have taken precautions, you could not fall ill if you have taken precautions. Okay. Then next, our modal verb is may. May is a well-known verb. Generally we use may when we have to take permission to enter into the class, when we have to take permission when we have to go from the class. So generally may is a well-known word, and all the students, I think you all use may daily. So may is used to express permission. It is more formal than can. We cannot use other verbs in making permissions. When we have to use this type of sentences which expresses permission, then we have to use only may. Without may we cannot make these sentences. If you use can, then it is not appropriate. may is more appropriate. So generally in these type of sentences we use may. Examples: may I come in the class? You may go to play. These are the examples. Two examples we have taken, so it is more clear. If we see the example, then it is more clear. So we have to concentrate and pay full attention on the examples, and we have tried to understand in which situation how it is used. May I come in the class? Generally we use this sentence in our classroom. You may go to play. In sentence number 1, may permission is demanding. May I come in the class? Permission is taken. Asking, it is in a interrogative way. So we ask the questions. May I come in the class? Here we ask the question. May I come in the class? So here in this type of sentences, may is used. You may go to play. Here answer of the permission, reply of the, again permission is given. There permission is taken. In sentence 2, permission is given by the teacher. You may go to play. May I come in the class? If we back the question of second sentence, then you may go to play. Then its question is that you may I go to play? May I go to play? You may go to play. May I come in the class? Yes, you may come. Yes, you may come. So in these way we can use may. Used to express possibility. When we have to use possibility, we have to express possibility, then we use modal verb may. He may come with you. He may come with you. It may rain this evening. He may take coffee or tea. So in these sentences, if we read these sentences, we observe these sentences, then we find something different from another sentences. He may come with you. He may come with you. Possibility, he may come, he may not come with you. This is the possibility is coming from this sentence. It may rain this evening. It is not sure that rain may come. It may rain this evening. It is not sure. It may rain, it may not rain this evening. This is the possibility is expressed with the help of may. He may take coffee or tea. It is not sure. He may take coffee or he may take tea. So this is the possibility. So when we have to express possibility, then we have to prepare, we have to make these type of sentences. Then it is clear. May is used to express wish. When we have to express wish, then good desire, then we have to use may. May you live long. May God bless you. May he have good health. May, another modal verb we cannot use in the place of may for giving wishes, for expressing wishes, good wishes. May you live long here, and we have to use always exclamatory mark at the end of the sentence. May you live long. May God bless you. May he have good health. So in all these sentences, what we find? We find may is used as a giving blessing, giving good wishes. May you live long. It is a blessing. May you live long. May God bless you. May you have good health. Any type of good wishes we can express through may. May is the modal verb which we can use in expressing good wishes. Then next use we will see the use of might. Might is also an a modal auxiliary. So we will see the uses of might. Might is used as the past tense of may in indirect speech. Again, in indirect speech, we see the use of might, how might is used in indirect speech. Examples: Neeta said, "I may come first in the class." Neeta said that she might come first in the class. So it is clear here that might is used as the past form of may. I may come first in the class. This is possibility. I may come first in the class. Neeta said that she might come first in the class. We changed into indirect speech. So here, in this sense, in this way we use might. So in indirect speech, again may we change into might. So we have changed will, shall, can. Will, shall, can. We have seen the uses of these modal auxiliaries, and we have changed them into past form while making indirect speech. So here also we change it like that. Then it is also used to express possibility, but is a lesser degree than may. We can also express possibility by using might, but its importance is lesser than may. I might win the match. I might win the match. Might win the match. It might rain tomorrow. So there is possibility. I might win the match. Might not win the match. I might win the match. I might not win the match. It might rain tomorrow. It might rain. Here we are not using might as a past form of may. Here we are using might as a separate form. Separate form means possibility. So here we are using might as a possibility. I might win the match. It might rain tomorrow. So in both these sentences we find possibility, and might itself shows the meaning of possibility, but it is in a lesser degree than may. Might is used to express more politeness than may. We have to express politeness, but more politeness if we have to use, then we use might in the place of may. Might I make a suggestion? Might I make a suggestion? This is a politeness. This sentence expresses politeness. Might I make a suggestion? Well, Rekha, you might give me respect for a little common sense. We will see in this sentence. Well, Rekha, you might give me respect for a little common sense. So here in both these sentences we find politeness, more politeness. When we use might, then sentence will become more and more polite. So in this type of situations, in this type of circumstances, we use might. Use of must. Now we will see the use of must. Must remains unchanged in all the tenses. In all the speeches also, direct or indirect speech, it remains same. In any number and person of the subject, when it is the past tense, it is present perfect of the principal verb. The must remains unchanged. He must have sent the letter yesterday. She must take rest now. You must pay fine. So we will see these tenses. So he must have sent the letter yesterday. In this sentence number 1, we find that it expresses the event of past. He must have sent the letter. yesterday. Yesterday is used to show the event of past. And she must take rest now. Here she must take rest now. Here we expresses it is necessary to take rest, but now, present, at present time. So now is used to show present time. You must pay fine. In future tense we use you must pay fine. You must pay fine, but it expresses future possibility. In future you must pay fine for this. It is used to express obligation, compulsion and duty. It is also used to express obligation, compulsion and duty. We must pray to God. We must pray to God. We must obey our parents. But this compulsion, this obligation, this duty, when we use must, it is more forceful. Its importance is more than should. When more compulsory, then we have to use must. We must pray to God. We must obey our parents. When we have to give more stress on the sentence, then we use must. We must obey our parents. We must perform our duty. Okay, we must pray to God. We must obey our parents. We must perform our duty. Okay, so in these sentences we use must to express. It is used to express necessity. When we have to use necessity, at that time also we have to use must. We must clean our house. We must take pure water. We must grow tree. We understand that which sentence is more necessary and which is not. So if we have to express these type of ideas, then we use must. We must clean our house. Cleaning is necessary, so we use must. We must clean our house. We must brush our teeth in the morning. We must brush our teeth after eating. So when we have to show necessity, at that time we use must. We must take pure water. We must take pure water. Pure water is necessary to make healthy body. So here it is also used as a necessity. We must grow tree. We must grow tree. Growing tree is very necessary. So here also we use this. Must is used to express strong determination. When we have to use a strong determination, we use must. I must complete this novel within 2 days. I must read Bhagavad Gita daily. If we observe these two sentences, then we find that strong determination is given. I determine to complete this novel within 2 days. If I have to express my determination, not determination but strong determination, then I have to use must. I must complete this novel within 2 days. Then if we see second sentence, I must read Bhagavad Gita daily. I must read Bhagavad Gita daily. Daily. I have to read Bhagavad Gita daily. So I am giving stress. This is my strong determination. It shows that I must read Bhagavad Gita daily. So in this type of sentences, we can use must. You can make and you can remember these sentences with these rules with examples. Next model auxiliary is ought to. We will see the use of ought to. How ought to is applied, is used in the sentence. Ought is different from other model auxiliaries. Ought is different from other model auxiliaries because it is followed by infinitive too. Generally, we are not using infinitives with modal verbs, but here ought um, ought is followed by infinitive to. Ought is less forceful than must, but more than should. Here, ought is less forceful than must, but more than should. More forceful than should. Ought is used to express probability. If we have to express probability, then we use ought. Annual exam system ought to implement in the university. Annual exam system ought to implement in the university. Narendra Modi ought to be the Prime Minister of India. In both these sentences, probability is clear. These sentences express probability. Annual exam system ought to implement in the university. This is probability. It shows probability. Narendra Modi ought to be the Prime Minister of India. He is not the Prime Minister of India, but ought to be the Prime Minister of India. This is the probability. It expresses the probability. It is used to express duty, moral or social obligations. It is also used when we have to perform duty, moral or social obligations. He ought to come in time. He ought to come in time. We ought to speak truth. They ought to help the poor and needy. In these three sentences, we see first sentence, we ought to come in time. It shows the duty that we ought to be punctual. We have to come in time. He ought to come in time. We ought to speak truth. This is moral obligation. We ought to speak truth. They ought to help the poor and needy. This is social obligations. So in this way we use ought to express the ideas relating to duty, our duties, our moral or social obligations. It is also used to express necessity, fitness. When we have to express necessity, fitness, at that time also we use this auxiliary verb. She ought to buy a book. He ought to do exercise. In first example we see she ought to buy a book. Necessity, in the bracket necessity is written. She ought to buy a book. Buying book is the necessity of her. So we express this necessity by using ought to. She ought to buy a book. In second example, he ought to do exercise. He ought to do exercise. To live fit, to become fit, one has to perform exercise. He ought to do exercise. It shows the fitness. So when there is the question of fitness, then we use ought to. Use of dare. We have to use dare also. Dare is another modal verb. Dare is used to express fearlessness of any consequence. It means be brave enough to. Dare is a different kind of modal verbs. It is used to express fearlessness. Dare. The meaning of dare is having courage. So it is used to express fearlessness of any consequence. It means be brave enough to. Its meaning, if we see the meaning in the dictionary, then its meaning is be brave enough to. Examples. How dare you disturb me? How dare you disturb me? I dare not go alone. So in these sentences we find how dare you disturb me. These are the sentences of showing courage. How dare you disturb me? So this modal auxiliary is used for fearfulness. I dare not go alone. It is also used as a principal verb. It is also used as a principal verb. Means to have the courage. Means to have the courage. He did not dare to drive in the traffic. He did not dare to drive in the traffic. He dares to fight me. She dared to address the public. So here in these, if we see these three sentences, so here we find that it is not used as a modal verb. It is used as a principal verb. He did not dare to drive in the traffic. He has no courage to drive in the traffic. He dares to fight me. Here it is in the present form. He dares to simple present tense. He dares to fight me. She dared to address the public. She has the courage to address the public. So here it is not used as a modal verb but as a principal verb. It is used here. Okay. Then so we have seen these modal verbs here. The modal verbs are different from main verb and primary auxiliaries. So will, shall, would, should, ought to, dare, must, these are generally known as modal verbs. But in which circumstances and in which situation we have to use modal verbs, it is clear. In the very beginning I have given in the slide that when we have to express permission, possibility, duty, obligation, it may be social obligation, it may be moral obligation, all type of obligations we have to use modal verbs. And duty, ability, determination, strong determination, and capability, request, polite questions, in all these situations we have to use modal verbs with their rules. So first we have to keep in mind the rules of the modal verbs. And the structure of the modal verb is that first comes subject, then modal verb, then main verb, then object. So first we have to use subject, then modal verbs. So we have to keep in mind the rules of the modal verbs. So when we remember the rules, with rules we have to cram some examples also, so it will be more clear. If we will not cram the examples, then it will be difficult for us to remember. We will be confused because we are not using. So we have to use and we have to make many examples, a list of examples of using modal verbs. So and common features also we have to remember. It is separate, it is alone we cannot use modal verb. With modal verb we have to use principal verb. So it is necessary to use in certain situations. So there is difference between modal verbs, primary auxiliary verbs, and principal verb. The topic of verb is very lengthy, so it should be clear in our mind. Totally it should be clear in our mind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.